our followers don't want to feel like they're just another number. They want to have connections with us. They want to like actually be able to have conversations. And I said, why are we doing things like that with our audience, but we're not doing that with the people that we pitch to?
Hey, Kristen, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here.
Fantastic. Today we talk about a lot of things, right? From, like how to pitch, right? As a creator, how to be more transparent when it comes to monetization, tools, resources. It's going to be a pretty packed episode with a lot of tips and tricks. I already know that. But before we dive in, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself using the map method that we have here on the Influence Factor podcast? Basically, it's divided in three different sections: the mission, what do you aim to achieve, the achievements, so anything that you are proud of, any notable milestone, could be in your career, could be in your life, or both of them, and the purpose. So why do you do what you do?
Yeah, so my mission is definitely to help more creators learn how to actually build profitable, self-sustaining businesses. I know so many creators get into being creators by being creative, but they very often don't understand the business aspect of owning a creator business. So my mission is definitely to help them understand more of that so that it can become, again, like a sustainable, profitable business for them. For my achievements, I very recently actually started writing for Forbes.com, which was a really special achievement for me. I write their creator monetization beat, but I've also been named one of the 23 top creator economy experts to watch by Business Insider. Personally, outside of that, I've been able to generate over $500,000 as a micro influencer from brand partnerships and my coaching business as well. So I've been able to work with a lot of really great brands that we all know and love in my career as a creator, even as a micro influencer, which I feel like a lot of people don't know is possible. And my purpose, why I do what I do, it's really this idea of freedom. I think I personally worked a job that I wasn't really excited about. I hated going there every day. I always felt anxious going in. And so me having the ability to come do this as my job has made me really love going to work every day. And so I want to make that possible by educating and supporting other creators who are in my shoes, the way that I was a couple years ago.
Amazing. And first of all, congrats on Forbes and Business Insider. It's great when you see yourself there, right? You work a lot and then you're like in the top
Mhm.
of the people. You're able to write for these very famous publications. So I know the feeling. It's a great one. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
And why don't we get into, like, already some of the insides out, right, of today's episode. And the first thing that I wanted to ask you, I know that you surveyed like around 40 or more than 40 influencer campaign managers for both, like, brands and agencies, to understand a bit more what are the core factors, right, when it comes to identify the right influencers. We all know that that step is crucial, right? If you don't identify the right influencers, then it's going to be a domino effect of problems, right? So that initial step, it's quite crucial. We say that all the time to all of our clients and brands. So have you found anything, any patterns, anything that you already knew, something maybe new that you didn't expect from this study?
Definitely. I was writing an article for Forbes where I wanted to give content creators more of an inside look on what brands were actually looking for when they were looking for creators, because as creators, we very often don't get that perspective of what they're looking for on the inside. And it was actually pretty eye opening. I would say a majority of the people who responded to this survey actually said that one of the biggest things for them was that authenticity piece.
Mhm.
They really wanted to partner with creators who had audiences that genuinely like knew this creator and then loved them and were loyal to them, and they kind of put follower count on the back burner, which I know in previous years is definitely something that's like very unheard of. But I also was still pretty surprised, I would say, to see how many brands did say that follower count still matters to them a decent amount. I think we're moving in the direction of more brands caring less and less about that follower count number, especially after TikTok. It's been so easy for a creator to have one video that goes absolutely viral, and that's all that really happens. And they don't really have much of a loyal audience. It's kind of just like that virality that's happened to them. So I'm surprised that so many of them said they were still kind of paying so much attention to follower count, but more and more, I think, are definitely moving in the direction more of the engagement and the authenticity versus just follower count, which is great.
And we all know, right, that when it comes to influencer identification, you can either do like searching, right, and scouting using platforms, your internal databases, network of people. But on the other side, also, right, there is also creators or agents that send emails, right, do cold outreach. And in that case, right, again, we personally receive so many emails every single day, right? Sometimes certain emails are a bit like typical email, right? Like, hey, we have this roster of people. Can we work together? And others, instead, they do a bit more of the homework, right? On why they should work with us and everything. So, because of that, again, there are so many influencers, so many agents out there. How can they, right, get out, outside this sort of bubble, right? And be actually get the right attention for either brands and also agencies to work on new campaigns?
If you're a creator who's looking to get the attention of the brands or the agencies, I think there's two really important things to think about. First is your unique value proposition or your UVP. What is it that makes you different from other creators who might have similar demographics or a similar niche or similar stats to you? I think there's always got to be that one thing that's like, oh, this person is perfect for us because of this unique thing about them. And I honestly think that that's why so many more creators are trying to put more of themselves into the content because something in there, in their personality, in who they genuinely are, I think could be that unique value proposition. So that's definitely one of the really important things that I work with my creators on is figuring out what that is because sometimes we're too close to it so we don't necessarily kind of point it out for ourselves. And the second thing I think is the relationship that you build with the people at these brands or agencies. We've always been taught as creators to send as many cold pitch emails as possible. And while that's great and sometimes it works, there's a lot more times that it doesn't work. And so we've found in the last few years working with so many creators that brands really love to feel that authentic connection, even just in the behind the scenes of when they're starting to partner with these creators.
It's the same like finding a job, right? You can send 200, like your CV to 200 companies, spray and pray. You will absolutely see there is a copy paste. There is no reference to the company, and like if you don't put enough time for that, it doesn't. It means that most probably you're not really interested, right? You're just looking for a job, and it's the same concept also, right, for creators. It doesn't mean necessarily that you care about the brand, therefore why that brand should choose you, right? So I agree, like on that, like it's better sometimes quality over quantity, right? Better to select maybe 10 brands that you really love, send them something very specific, and maybe do a little video presentation about like why, or maybe you already have the brands at home, and show them, right, that you already are someone that uses. So yeah, absolutely, I see the importance there. And I don't know, like, is there like the anti-pitch method that maybe I think that I read it somewhere.
Yeah, so in 2022, I was having this kind of revelation of I'm sending all of these cold pitch emails out. No one is responding to them. The people that are responding are just saying, sorry, we're not working on anything right now. Give us your media kit. We'll come back to it later. And I was just getting so frustrated, but I got to the point where it would kind of go on the back burner because I was like, "Why am I gonna spend so much time doing this if most of the time it's not even working?" Like, I'd rather just do other things in my business, and obviously, that wasn't great because that's how I made a lot of my money, right, is these partnerships, and I had to pretty much depend on just inbounds or get up the courage to go send some cold pitch emails. So, I was thinking about it one day kind of from the perspective of, like, our followers, like our followers don't wanna feel like they're just another number. They want to have connections with us. They want to, like, actually be able to have conversations, and I said, "Why are we doing things like that with our audience, but we're not doing that with the people that we pitch to?" So we're sending out all these copy and paste pitch emails that all look the same. Everyone's look the same. We're all working from the same script, basically. So I started to instead of sending out cold pitch emails for the whole year of 2022, I fully experimented with actually connecting with the people that worked at the brands that I wanted to work with, mostly through LinkedIn, a lot of Twitter at the time. And I started to just build genuine relationships with these people. And I found that because they knew who I was and they knew that I was actually interested in their brand genuinely, they were more inclined to actually come reach out to me and say, "Hey, I now that we know each other, I was actually thinking about this thing that we're working on that you would be a great fit for." And so it started to put me in the kind of like top of mind, I guess, for a lot of these brands that I wanted to work with in a very organic way. But what was also really great about that is now I have all of these contacts at all of these different brands. And so when they move to different brands or have new campaigns coming up, they already know who I am. I don't have to like worry about, oh, am I sending a cold pitch email at the right time for the right campaign for the right person? Like it's more of a networking thing, I guess, than anything else.
Especially in this industry, right, where it's a people business, network is very important. It's one of the most important things, right? So absolutely, like if for brand managers out there, talent agents, creators themselves, independent people, like networking is it's quite the foundations, right? And then, as you
Mhm.
said, you can build on top of that. So let's say that
Yeah.
you get your brand deals, like you start making money. As you said at the beginning, right, of the episode, a lot of these creators and influencers, they start as creative people, right? They might not really know how to manage, because you think about a video, but then there is so much behind. You have
Yeah.
to think about the script, do the brand deal, record, send it out. You get paid, taxes, how to manage your finances, and so on. So let's go a bit more in this thing that again, it's more about bureaucracy, and for some people could be seen as a boring topic, right? All the things behind finances, but once you start making money, it's important, right? If not, it happens like athletes, right? They are very young, they make a lot of money, boom, like millions from zero to millions, and then they lose
Yeah.
everything because they don't know how to manage money. So, have you found any tips and tricks when it comes to help creators when it comes to their finances and monetization?
This is such a great point. I think so many creators don't understand how to run a business, and why would they? They maybe didn't go to school for business, like they're just here having a good time on the internet.
Mm.
It happens to be fun. It happens to be working out for them. And they're like, huh, yeah, I should try and go into this a little bit further. This is actually one of the reasons why I do what I do is I try and create a lot of opportunities for creators to learn about the somewhat boring stuff, but in a way that's very easily digestible. Because I know even for me, when I first got started, I was trying to learn about things like taxes and,
Mm.
EIN numbers and all this stuff. And I was like so confused. And everything that I found on the internet, I think, was just kind of feeling like it was gibberish to me. And in our membership social suite, this is where we actually do a lot of the education on this. We bring in a lot of industry experts to actually teach us in a way that's very specific to creators because
Mhm.
even with things like taxes, we have a lot of kind of caveats that can be a little bit confusing. And so it's been really important for us to be able to make that really understandable for the creators that we work with. We've had like bookkeeping and accounting companies come in. We've had creator lawyers come in to help us kind of digest contracts a little bit more. That's another area that we see a lot of creators have a lot of trouble with. So I think that's been like again one of the most important things for me is just finding ways to make that information more accessible and more understandable for a lot of people because I honestly even at this point I still don't feel like there are a lot of great resources out there.
Is your brand ready to amplify its reach? Well, the Influencer Marketing Factory is here for you. We are a global influencer marketing agency helping brands ignite their growth. From influencer identification to campaign strategy, handling legalities and agreements, to managing shipping and logistics, we got you all covered. We work with hundreds of brands across different verticals, from Fortune 500 companies to direct-to-consumer brands. And we don't just stop there. With detailed ROI analysis, we help brands like yours measure success, transforming impressions into conversions. You can find us at theinfluencermarketingfactory.com or just searching the Influencer Marketing Factory on Google. No, absolutely. Especially, when a lot of these things like government, is still a bit behind, many times when it comes to how do you classify a creator, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you can write off? Is that an actual expense as your business, And then you start getting maybe a team of people, a video editor, someone helping you with things, someone to help you with brand deals, and now you have a team of people. And so, like, Are they freelancers? Are they actually employee of a company? Did you create an LLC? So yes, like we could talk about this for hours. And the more we learn, and also more like, again, government is learning about us and everything. So especially with the latest event at the White House, it seems that there is some movement, right? But at the same time, our industry is moving fast, and sometimes bureaucracy is, sometimes usually bureaucracy is moving very slow, right? And so this pace is different, and that's why I think many times there is a lost in translation when it comes to that. And so let's say again, you are helping our creators when it comes to their finances, but is there any other advice? There's a lot of advice, especially when it comes to how to approach pricing, right? Because there is still not a formula, there is still not a price card, right? Everything is still a bit the Wild West. I mean, in this, for more than 10 years, I started my career in these talking about pricing and how to price, trying to find a sort of formulas. It's quite impossible to have it. Have you find a way? Tell us a bit more about this.
I get so mad whenever I see all these pricing calculators online because I honestly don't think that I've ever found one that's very in line with my pricing. And I don't think they can be because the other aspect of it is not only is there no formula, but there's also so many different brands and so many different deliverables and caveats to each partnership that you're gonna end up customizing every
Mhm.
partnership that you're pricing. I honestly don't think that having set rates and expecting that you're gonna get those numbers every time is realistic at all. Most of the creators that I work with, I tell them to kind of have like a range of this is the absolute lowest that I'll accept to be worth my time. This is what I'd really like to hit. And then maybe you're gonna always aim for a little bit higher than that. But there's no one rate, and that's where you're gonna get paid for every partnership. When it comes to figuring out what to charge, I I honestly think there's a lot of guesswork here.
Mhm.
I think the best thing to do is definitely start off by doing some research. You know, a lot of people at this point, I think a lot of creators are very transparent about their pricing. I would be trying to kind of go around and see what other creators are being paid that are maybe similar to you in niche or in stats or, in other brands that maybe they've worked with and kind of see what it is that they're charging if it's something that they're sharing and use that as a starting point. So a lot of the times what I'll tell creators is if you're sending a rate to a brand and they're automatically accepting it, it's probably a little bit too low. So maybe next time you're going to raise that by 10% or 15% and then you throw that number out. And if that number is automatically accepted, you're like, okay, maybe we'll do that again. And you keep kind of raising it until you get to a point where you're almost having to negotiate with every brand that you're sending that number out to, and typically, I know for me, like, that's where I'll realize that I'm kind of in the right range there, and again, for some brands, maybe you're negotiating that rate, but then for others, you're immediately getting accepted. It's still gonna depend on the brand, so I think it is more of that experimentation of like, "Alright, well, I've sent this rate out 10 times, and 7 of those 10 times, it's gotten negotiated." So again, now we know we're, like, in the right range, but it is definitely more of an art than it is a science, that's for sure.
100%. As you said, every brand is different. Some of them they have an unlimited budget and they don't really look at pricing and they're like, we just want influencers, creators doing these things, whatever. Others are very data driven, ROI focused, so they're gonna look at every single cent, right? So it depends, right? 100%. And so in addition to finances, is there any other resources, tools that creators and influencers out there should know about? Again, because of course, they record their videos, but then there is much more right behind the scene. Is there anything that is do you recommend to any creator or any influencers out there that they should from today already, if you haven't done it yet, look into these tool resources for getting their success even like to the next level?
Personally, I started using an accountant, and I think that that's one of the most, like, underrated things that a creator can do because so many creators are really afraid to spend the money on it. I pay my it's a bookkeeping and accounting service where I pay them 299, $250 a month, and they touch everything, I touch absolutely nothing, and that's actually one thing that for me has been such an important part of my business is where can I outsource to give more people things that I don't necessarily need to be doing so that I can spend more of my time doing the things that I personally need to be doing. So outsourcing something like bookkeeping, the company I use is called Collective. They are amazing. They actually help you file as an S corp election so that you can end up saving money on taxes too, and they won't take anyone into their program who won't make back in saved taxes what you would pay them. So they wanna make sure that it's definitely worth it for you. So that has been, like, my saving grace, one of the things that I absolutely, absolutely wish I did sooner.
Fantastic. And is there any, you also manage a community, right? So I'm also interested to know a bit more like, are you finding creators helping each others? Are you seeing influencers sharing tips about like, what to avoid in terms of mistakes? Like, this is the right contact if you want to do these things. This is the tool that you should use. Like, tell me a bit more also what happens, right? Again, behind the scenes when it comes to creators getting together to help each other somehow.
I think creator transparency is becoming more and more of a thing, which is really great, but I still think that there is this big gap on people who are willing to open up and support other people because we're still all kind of fighting for the same partnerships at a certain point, and so I think people get very nervous to help other people out.
Mm.
Fortunately, about 2 years ago, I started a membership called Social Suite where we have about 165 creators in there right now who all are literally there to help each other out. And it's so incredible to see like how transparent everyone is and they're really all there to help each other thrive. So we have a lot of times where someone might come in and say, "Hey, this brand just emailed me. This is what they want for deliverables. Has anyone ever worked with them before or what should I charge them? How do I respond? Can you guys help me type this out?" Like we're truly there holding each other's hands throughout the whole process of building a creator business. And again, I think it's sometimes is difficult to find that community because if you're not joining a community, you're very often just kind of like talking with people over the DMs or maybe like,
Hmm.
sending some story replies or comments here and there. But what's really great about our group is everyone has become so close knit because we actually do a lot of live group meetings as well. So we meet on Zoom once, twice, 3 times a week, and we're literally all there to just hang out with each other, share experiences, answer questions, get feedback for each other. If someone's working on something new, they'll very often come in and say, "Hey, let me show this to you guys first before I actually, present it to my audience." And it's kind of like you have this board of your business who's just a bunch of other creators who are going through a lot of the same things and again can share their feedback and experience. So I think finding a community can be difficult sometimes, but when you find the right one, it's really so magical what can happen when people are willing to help each other out.
Fantastic. Especially when, I saw some Discord channels where creators, like, and especially YouTubers, they ask to their audience, like closer audience, before going out, like, should I use this thumbnail? Da, da, da. So they can give you absolutely a lot of, a lot of value, but at the same time, other creators can give you much more value when it comes to, especially again, like, I before about this title, but like an algorithm and all these type of things, right? So yeah, again, I imagine that it's not that easy, but once you find it, then it's your little, like, family there with people helping you out and everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny because, like, I have a lot of friends in person who all try and explain things to. I'm like, "Oh, this brand said this, and it was so frustrating," and they're like, "I don't get it."
Yeah,
So
no,
it
like,
really is, like, nice to have people in the room that, again, like, understand the same experiences.
totally, totally. And let's go for a second back to content, right? Because we covered many things about, transparency for monetization, finance, and so on, bookkeeping, accounting. But let's go back for a second about content, right? That is, again, is the core, right, of every content creator and influencers out there. We all know, right, about the attention span is getting lower and lower day by day, right? People scroll like after 1 second, right? There is much competition these days, more than ever. How can creators get that hook in the first second? Because we all know that, informational videos, right, educational content is a bit easier, right, to do, but not all of them are about, informational. Sometimes it's about entertainment, other times it's about your latest song, other times it's whatever, right, what you create. Have you identified? I know there is not a perfect formula, but is there a way to still providing value but still get attention in the first couple of seconds, so that people don't scroll?
Yeah, a more logistical answer to this question. I actually saw a friend of mine, Kenya Kelly, who the other day she started her video off using a shoe as a microphone. And I immediately stopped and watched it because I was like, what is she doing? But I thought that was such a great example of I didn't even hear one word that she said yet, and I'm already paying attention. So I think people don't pay enough attention to visual hooks. You know, we see a lot of videos saying, here are 25 perfect hooks you can start your videos off. And it's like at this point, again, like you said, we've everything has been done, like, it's very oversaturated, we've seen a lot of it. We're almost not hooked by the same hooks anymore, like, things are moving so quickly, and I think visual hooks get very much put on the back burner, so that's definitely something to think about. I actually today posted a video where my husband and my foster dog are in it, and we're both out in the street, and I think people are immediately like, "Whoa, what are they doing here? This is not the normal area that they're filming. What is he doing in the video?" Like, they're kind of already starting to question it and process it by the time I'm already getting into the video and they're watching it. So, visual hooks, I think, can be definitely very important. But also, as a more, I guess, like, emotional answer, I do think that people watch videos when they connect to those people for any reason. Like, it could just be, like, the way that person makes you feel, or maybe there's something that you relate to in that video, or maybe the person you're watching is like really humanizing themselves, but they're this creator you watch all the time and you don't picture them being just like you. I think when people can bring themselves into content and just be like very genuinely themselves, which I know is very it's said a lot, right? Like everyone is like, just be yourself. It's great. It'll be fine. But I think it is very difficult to do. I mean, I've been creating content for years and years and years, and I still feel like very often when I go to create content, I like flip a switch and I'm like, okay, I'm on. You know, like here's my internet personality. And it's very difficult to really let yourself
Mhm.
just go and be genuinely you. So I think practicing that and really trying to let people in and kind of like see if you were on a reality TV show and people were following you around all day, what would you be acting like? Like, what would your personality be like when you're just living your daily life? Those are the kind of moments where I feel like people really connect to them and are genuinely interested in like getting to know you and hanging out with you because it does feel like they can actually build some sort of connection with you.
And because again, you said that it's now oversaturated. A lot of hooks are not working anymore, and so on. I have a last question for you. What's working, and what are the raising trends that you're noticed recently in the creator economy as a whole?
I think, like, kind of going back to the authenticity piece, like, a lot of what I see perform the best in my content and in the creators that I work with are those times where you're bringing people in to a story that's personal to you. So if I'm sharing, a vlog of like, come do this with me, and I'm really bringing people through like the good, the bad, the ugly of whatever that thing is, I definitely find that more people are engaging in it, more people remember it and bring it up later. You start to build like these inside jokes with your audience. And I mean, that is so valuable when it comes to monetization because like those are the people that are going to purchase from you when you have products, or those are the times when the brand is going to want to work with you because you really have this strong loyal audience. I feel like I hate giving that as an answer because it's so like it's not very actionable. It's like, yeah, we're all trying to be ourselves and be authentic. But I genuinely think right now, especially after COVID, like we really are just craving that human connection. We're really craving that relatability with other people.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially, these days there is more like niche content. People want to see something new, more original content, right? We all know that, especially all the copy paste type of content is something that kind of bore people, right? They want to see something new. They want to see you because they follow you, right? And we already discussed this in other episodes, right? About the importance to. You also said that the same, like you're unique, right? The selling proposition there, right? As a person, at the end of the day, if you're a creator, you're a personal brand. People follow you for certain values because it's you and so on. So I think that people are gonna see more of that. At least they want to see more of that, right? So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's even for me personally, like, for a long time, everything that I shared was very social media specific because I was like, "Oh, that's why people are following me." But I had this whole other area of my life. I'm very deep in animal rescue here in Charlotte where I live, and I never shared any of that with people because I was like, "Oh, people aren't following me for animal rescue, like, they're not gonna care, why would I share this?" But I was like, "It feels like I'm suppressing this really important
Yeah.
part of me," and so I started to share more of it, and it's been so crazy to see the reaction from people. Everyone is so excited. Like, they all wanna know, like, "Who's this dog? How can I support them?" Like, did they get adopted yet? How are they doing in their new home?" Like, people remember the names of all these fosters we've had. I get messages from people who are asking about dogs that have been adopted. I've had brands reach out to me to partner on pet content. So, it has just opened up such a big opportunity for me, but it's something I never wanted to do because I was like, "It doesn't feel like it makes sense." But me allowing myself to, again, just more authentically be who I really am in my real life has opened up the door to just such more a lot more opportunity.
And it's a great mission. So, or from the
Yeah,
con
and everyone loves
yeah,
dogs.
exactly. Fantastic. Kristen, thank you so much, for joining me today. I knew that this was going to be a very packed with very valuable information. So thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us today.
Of course, yeah, thank you so much for having me, this was fun.
Absolutely. This was the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you next week.